Moto. I'm the mayor of Corrales, and I'd like to call this special council meeting to order on July 30th, 2026. But people, please turn off their cells or put them on silent and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
States of America, nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Where's Councilor Miura? Hey. Next, Councilor Woolman.
Here.
Oh, wow, cool.
Hello.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Brown.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
We're all here. Great. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. New business. Number one, consideration, action, approval of resolution 26-48, year-end BAR. May I have a motion for approval, please?
Move to approve. So moved.
Second.
I'll give that to Councilor Woolman.
Thank you.
I'll second that. I don't know who's saying.
You're great.
Any discussion on this item? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, there are some issues I want to ask about. Let's see. Let me get to my notes where okay. So, let's see. Just give me a second. We got rushed here a little bit. What else is new?
Counselor, Mayor, I bet I know which one it is.
All right.
See if you're clairvoyant.
Mayor, no, and I know why, but I had to do it that way. Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero, I bet it's going to be the 306, the third line down and the
Yeah.
last one.
Yes.
So,
What page is it?
It's easier to find.
That is page 4 of 156.
yeah, because mine's different than yours.
The packet is page 4 of 156. Yeah.
So go, you have the 209, you have the 220, and then you have the 306. And then on the last page, you're going to have a 306. Because this was for the year in bar and we had to get the quarter done, we were adjusting a budget line item for that check that NMDOT didn't cancel. And we thought we needed to put the money back in. And when we looked at it, it was wrong. So then we had to remove it to reverse it. And since it's considered a bar, it all has to go through council in that order. They cancel each other out.
Okay. Also, while you're there, on page 5 of 156, 226, 19, 22, 5100, either in column, the D and E, we have no value. Do we need to put something in there?
Counselor or Mayor, Council Administrator Romero, no. So this bar was originally brought to you by Jolene, bar 2548, I believe in December. She did not complete the bar. She only did pieces of the bar to get rid of that 226 animal control account and move them to 244 and 243. We had to complete the move to close out the fiscal year. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay, also on page 4, under 410, 000, 5100, 51,000, over in the column, the comments, it looks like it's a duplicate of the above. It doesn't indicate it's a transfer. Do we need to have that just in there just to?
What, Mayor, Council Administrator Romero, really good question. Because it's a 5100, it's a transfer.
Yeah.
It's implied. It's to increase the budget because the transfer was already made, but there was no budget for the
I
transfer.
was just, do we have to have the word transfer in there to?
No, sir.
Okay.
I tried to make it a little more clear on some of them. I was doing these Saturday night at like 10. And then because I hadn't got word back from DFA. That's why I made that cover sheet for Counselor Burkett to explain what each line was.
Also, there are two others. There's 401 or 000 quad O 5100 and 402, same thing. There's no visible offset. I mean, if you look at page 16, where, I'm just curious about that.
So account 401 is an overarching account where all of our property tax goes into. And when the budget was made last year, we also paid bond 2018, Geo bond 2018 out of 401. So 401 has two purposes. All of our property tax goes in to pay and transfer out to all of the other bonds, 402, 404, 408, 409, and 410. Those are GO bonds. And we pay for the bond 2018, which is the bond with the defeasance. When it got budgeted last year, she budgeted it for the transfer out and the full amount of the bond for a debt service payment. This is fixing it because our debt service payment for that account was only like 95,000, not $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That $1 million was only supposed to be in the transfer out line and in the revenue line.
Well, also on that same one, on page 16, which we will get to in a minute, it indicates on page 16 it's a transfer out, and it should be a transfer in, or
Is that a budget line?
yes.
Can we wait till we get
Yeah,
there? Because I don't have it. And some of them are transfers out, some are transfers in. In our system, they all go in the 5,100. In Department of Finance, which all this has to balance. So in Department of Finance, these bars don't go in like this. All of those 400 accounts go into one line item. DFA line 401000 is a bulk. So when all of those had to match for a bulk transfer for DFA. And DFA does have a transfer in and a transfer out. I wish we did, but we'll look at that when we get there.
I guess my last question is, then all these documents are not the ones that are being transferred up to DFA?
So I have to put it into a computer system called LGBMS, Local Government Budget Management System, including Tyler, which is ours. And then they look and make sure it's balanced. They get a copy of this. It's sitting in there. It's balanced right now. I already checked it. But it can't submit it until you guys sign the paper, and then they look at it and say, I got my last one back. And they're like, Tanya, you missed a 3. It was supposed to be a 3, not a 2.
Sure.
So they look at it closely.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tony.
Counselor Burkett?
Just a quick, hopefully easier question. Maybe it'll be harder because I did not think we were allowed to earn interest on GO bonds, and we have earning of interest on a GO bond for 350-000, 36,030, and 45,020.
Great. Mayor, Council Administrator Merrill, great question. You're not allowed to earn interest above a certain amount, which is going to be based on the bond, but we're not earning this interest. This interest is not in our bank account for 350. The 2024 bond, farmland, fire, and public works is in our bank account. That's the one we have to be careful with. This money is sitting at NMFA.
Okay.
So it's as they sit on it, it looks like the way I'm reading the activity statements, we get a piece and they get a little piece. So this is completely legal. We still earn money on some of our other bonds that are up there that we're just paying off.
Interesting. Okay. So, then again, for a go forward, is there any reason to bring those into our accounts, or should we leave them up there as long as possible? This is obviously, is it not a lot of interest, but that's 1 month's worth.
No, sir, that was 2 days worth.
Oh, so why are we bringing them in-house when we could leave them up there until the point of actuation?
So the reason for the 2024 bond is because you guys decided in council, which we appreciate, to do farmland, and you didn't want to just do farmland. You wanted to do part of fire and police.
Yep.
And there is something with the farmland bond that required us to go out from this is my memory from talking to Stifel, and please, Administrator Romero, if I'm wrong, correct me, or listening to Stifel, it had to go that way because the type of bond it was. Yes, it was a GO bond and going to be paid out of property tax, but the use was different. So we went with Bank of Oklahoma, and that's who we pay our taxes to, or our payments to, for the 2024 GO bond. And that, since it's in our bank account, we're limited to what's that word called?
Oh,
I'll think of it
yeah.
when he answers the page 16 question. we're only allowed to earn a little bit of interest. But yes, this one can gain interest and we track that interest. Even our 2018 bond has gained a little bit of interest.
Arbitrage.
There we go.
Okay.
Also, Counselor Burkett, the reason it's in our bank account and not with NMFA is because we went out to the open market to sell that bond.
Yep.
Normally, if we went to NMFA, we would have to have been ready to close on every single one of those farmland properties.
Yes.
Because then they pay directly out to the property owners. Because we weren't at that point, we put it in our bank account after selling it on the open market. So that's why that one is different. We hadn't sold a bond on the open market in many, many years.
Interesting. So if this is, I mean, this is 2 days interest. I mean, we need to figure out a way to arbitrage more often to where we are closer to the finish line when we try to take our bond money and keep it at NMFA for whatever duration. I assume once we have a contract in place, then the 60 or 90 days it takes to get to closing is probably within the bounds of how we can earn interest
You actually have to close on the same day you're ready to pay out with the farmland.
with farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but for their stuff, we could get 2 days worth of interest.
I don't know.
If I may, with this bond, we draw down. So with this bond, I have to have an invoice
Okay.
and a check and send that up to them once it's paid. And then they send us the reimbursement back.
Okay.
And then we continue making small amount of interest on that piece. But yes, I did tell Administrator Romero, I'm like, well, maybe we can get some of the money Chief needs for his fire station because part of his money is still here. Public Works' money is not in that 16. They already spent all theirs. This is only for, the 16 is now only, well, no, I'm sorry. The 16 is the new bond is that earn that money is Public Works and Fire Department split. Fire Department does still have 200,000 in the farmland bond. The rest is farmland. Public Works is no longer in that bond.
All right. Thank you.
Counselor Knight?
Thank you. On page 31, am I reading this right? That
Are-
We're only doing the bar stuff right now because it's a separate action item.
okay, but can I talk about this later then? Because
Yeah, different.
I'm writing them down so we don't, 39, did you say, Counselor?
no, page 30, I have a question about page 31
Okay.
and 32.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions on the bar? So, Counselor Mira, how do you vote?
Yes on the board.
Counselor Waldman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Yes.
Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Counselor Burkett?
Yes.
Counselor Nuri?
Yes.
Motion passes. Number 2, consideration action approval of resolution 26-49, fourth quarter report. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. As I scroll down to my notes. Okay. Ooh. Oh, on, I think it's, let me see, what page was that at? Page 26 of 156. Let me get over to it.
Is that in the budget?
I believe it is, isn't it?
Okay.
We're on.
The quarterly, oh, is it? Well, maybe it's, I thought that was quarterly report. I'm sorry, that's final. I think that's final. Hang on. Yeah, I beg your pardon. Oops. Oh, okay. So on page 7 of 156. The far right column, I think we're off by $1. It's the extreme right column. Go back to page 7 here.
So the Mayor Council, the quarterly report does not do cents, so it could have rolled it to if there were cents in all of those lines.
Okay.
Can you tell me which fund number it is?
Well, it's the grand total over on the extreme right. When you subtract the cash and investments minus the required reserves, it's off by $1.
That is going to be all the change that we type in and the quarterly report does not want to change.
So they're not,
It automatically rolls it to the nearest dollar. LGBMS, when we put it in there, takes the change, the roll up, they do not want the change.
Okay, so DFA doesn't care about pennies.
Not on the, well, they do, but not on these we call the pretty pages. These are for them to quickly look at and then look at what we put into the penny.
So on page 6, well, let's see, we can go to page 16, make sure I'm in the right place. Oh, yes, on, let me look here. Well, on down where it says under general obligation bonds, and you go down, it says other financing sources. There's in the actuals year to date, you have $1,209,308. Is that really supposed to be there?
I'm lost.
Okay, down if you okay on page 16, I'm sorry. Page 16. Probably about the third block down under other financing sources.
10 of 15 on your document, Tanya.
Yeah, no, and is it in red?
Yeah, not, well, that one, yeah, but go back over to the actual years to date.
It's the one that's $1,209,308.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Should
Because
should that actually be there? Because, it seems like to me that, it doesn't balance out because you transfer, I mean, it's shown as a negative transfer, but I'm just wondering, is it really supposed to be there?
Tanya, is that the one you were just telling us about that you had to fix because of a paperwork issue?
So
with the
this
bond?
goes back to 401. So this is part of your bar that just fixed it. This is taking out part of that money that she double budgeted. And yes, you're going to have negatives because that's a transfer in. She was doing a transfer in that fund in 401. There is no transfer in. That's only a transfer out account. So this is to bring it back to where it's actually supposed to be.
Okay. And
Now you all know why Tanya's been working so late for so
Oh,
many
yeah.
months.
All right, so I'm just trying to make sure that we're doing this the right way too.
And it does balance in LGBMS because we have put the quarter in. We have not submitted pending this, but we don't have anything in our quarter that flags as incorrect.
Okay,
And Tanya's been working closely with
I know.
our analyst and our,
question, I just.
yeah, no, it's there's been a lot of stuff that we're realizing was done incorrectly the prior year. And so now we're trying to go back and fix with this year. So you're going to see some things that you haven't necessarily seen before that we're doing to be able to fix all of our records going forward.
And if I may, if you go down to Fund 403, the same page where you see the debt services and it says investment income -6345. This is a revenue bond. And the reason why it's negative in that point is that is pulled from the state. We don't pay that check. That revenue bond, our gross receipts come in and they just take that cash from us and then we do transfers. They did not pull. We're waiting for them to pull that amount of money, so it shows a negative payment. One of the things we're going to be doing starting August 1st is working on all our accounts payables and accounts receivables because we can do that up until we run the balance sheet. So that's what that one is.
Okay. I think that's the only thing I have. Thank you.
Councilor Burkett?
Yep, just two questions that may not be necessary for today's discussion, but I'd like to further explore from this quarterly is one, property taxes are up 14% above budget. And I'm curious how much of that is people losing agricultural status and paying higher tax rates on their land versus just actual new appraised values. Because that seems like a pretty substantial jump for a quarter. And so I mean, there's certainly houses going up, but I know everyone's capped at 3% unless they do a substantial remodel or build something new. So that seems like a pretty big jump.
Councilor Mayor, if I may, great question, but it's not for a quarter, it's for the year. We get property tax in throughout the year. We're up in one, right at 300,000 and one. So I think it's right at 480, if I remember correctly, and it would be in the budget somewhere.
Yeah.
We are up that, but it's not the quarter.
Okay. I think
It's over the year.
the comment still then, I mean, we're still up
I agree.
14%. So I'm curious why, when if things were just static, we would be up 3% max.
And we have not raised our mill and
Right.
we collect, we're doing really well. We collect 97% of our property tax. But I just got another 20,000 in on late property tax and we looked at the bank account that we'll have to roll back. So that isn't even complete payment. And we don't get a complete payment usually every year. The Sandoval County put out that they connect 97% for Corrales.
Okay.
And property taxes can go up more than the 3% if the home sells.
If
It
yeah,
gets
if it's a
re-upped.
transaction or a substantial improvement.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep. Okay. My other question, and it may be a similar answer because if this is full year versus quarter, I was going to compliment us on capturing so much more on lodger's tax. But if this is a full year, then I take back that statement and say that we are barely capturing lodger tax.
Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero, if I may, you're actually lower on lodger's tax. But what I did is I believe in budgeting actuals once they're audited and good. And part of that was pulling cash that was sitting behind the scenes because we're not supposed to hold lodger's tax. There's a law on when you can spend it, how you can spend it. So that was a bar you all did, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago to bring that cash up. But when I looked at it, lodger's tax is actually lower than in previous years.
So, I mean, it's interesting, and this is just math in my head, and it's probably close, but not accurate. But it looks like $450,000 in taxable lodgers for the entire year. If this is annual, I mean, that's barely over $1,000 per day. And with 60 rental units in the village, well, we have 30 that are registered.
30 that are registered.
So
We
30
did lose one of the
registered
big ones this year.
That's an average daily rental of $30. And I'm pretty certain we're above that. So we are missing a ton of lodgers.
We are working on new procedures with our deputy clerk for working on lodger's tax and trying to capture that better.
And Mayor, Council, and Administrator Romero, if I could, lodger's tax for 24-25, we collected $25,018.88. This year, we only collected $15,28.21.
And that's with capturing more properties to register. So there's, yes, maybe some forgetful reporting happening on that. But it doesn't feel like even with the Granicus software, we really have an enforcement.
Yeah, the
capability.
Granicus doesn't give us stays. It just tells us who's showing up on the rental, like Airbnb, Vrbo on those. So we can capture somebody if they're renting and they aren't licensed with us. But then we don't actually know that we have people that are turning in zeros on there. So they're turning in their sheets, but they're claiming they had no rentals.
Despite the fact that Airbnb and VRBO are collecting GRT on their behalf when they do the booking.
We don't know. We just know that it's showing up on their site. We can't prove that it's been rented from there.
I mean,
So that's the
but
problem.
I know for when we stay in Airbnbs or VRBOs, it tells you and makes you pay the GRT tax when you book the unit.
Mhm.
So these people are collecting that money, and that money is not finding its way to where it's supposed to find its way.
Yeah, we've had battles with a couple of short-term rental owners that claim that Airbnb is collecting it and should be sending it to us, and they're not. And so we've worked through a lot of those, and we're having people send it to us directly. But still, we have a couple of property owners that, like I said, they just keep submitting zeros. So
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
just
Council
quickly on
Murray.
that point, then whose responsibility is to send it in?
so it's the property owners, the owner of the Airbnb or the whatever short-term rental. It's their responsibility to send in the lodger's tax to us.
Some of them are saying the other people collected it, so therefore they have to send it to.
Yeah. So we've already done battle with several property owners over that.
But that doesn't sound like we're winning those battles.
We are. But then the people are, we had one short-term rental that was actually rented out for long-term for most of the year. So of course we don't get lodger's tax when it's over a 30-day stay.
Right.
So that's what we're seeing is they're turning in zeros saying, I rented this, but it was a long-term rental, so that lodger's tax doesn't apply.
And there's no way for us really to audit that.
So we've started asking them to give us supporting documents when they try and claim that exemption. So we've started that within the last month, that we're asking for that supporting documents. Like I said, we're working on new procedures to try and make sure we're getting all the lodger's tax that we're.
This has been going on for years, hasn't it? I mean,
It has. Lodger's tax has been a difficult one to enforce
I mean, it's
because
the same thing.
it's hard to.
That's a hard one to enforce.
It is. It is, yeah. So we're doing what we can, trying to establish those relationships with the property owners and sending letters and things like that.
And if I
Councilor
may, oh, sorry. One of the other things, I'm wondering if maybe Balloon Fiesta this year had something to do with it. I don't know.
But let me ask this then, if you pay the GRT upfront.
Yep.
It goes to the property owner, or does it go into the VRBO or the other
Well, the
company?
GRT is separate from the lodger's tax.
No, I'm just
So, yeah.
asking, knowing
Yeah.
if he books a room and pays the GRT, does it automatically go to the state or the feds or whoever? Or does it just go to the owner and the owner's not reporting it, but yet on their taxes, when they file, should it not be reported as income?
So that, again, that's between the property owner and these rental companies, because if Airbnb is telling them that they're paying this on their behalf and they're not, these property owners could get in trouble.
Well, then maybe a letter telling them, hey, you may be committing fraud, and to avoid that, you need to.
Oh, that's what we have done. We've reached out to them and said, you know, they say they're paying your taxes on your behalf. They're not paying them to us. You need to get in touch with them and make sure that they're paying everything that they're saying that they're paying. So-
I would say if the property owner was genuinely concerned that Airbnb or VRBO was taking their money and not paying us, that they would be very motivated to have that conversation. And the fact that they're not motivated and they're not the ones doing this, trying to track down where those dollars are and why they might get in trouble because someone else has them, leads me to believe that maybe that is less than accurate.
And,
They
and
believe that to be
we're not the only municipality dealing with this. There's municipalities all throughout New Mexico that are dealing with the same thing, where they're being told that, oh no, Airbnb is taking this. I think it's mostly VRBO that is the one that is telling people that they're taking the lodger's tax and paying it, and they're not, because they don't have any accounts set up with any of us.
And
So
if they're over 30 days, does a lease validate them? Saying that
So, yeah, if they can prove that
have a
they,
lease,
yes.
they could get off with that part, but then if they don't have a lease, then for sure is what we're talking about here going on.
It could be, yes. Yeah. They're either not renting it or they're not reporting it.
Is it possible that we could pass an ordinance requiring these folks to submit quarterly reports and show who has rented and who hasn't?
I do think we need to do some updates to our ordinance and take a look at that to see if we can have some supporting document provided with that form.
Any more comments on this item?
I do that.
Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Knight? Councilor Waldman?
You might be muted.
He dozed
Counselor-
off on our distraction.
Oh, Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Waldman is absent right now.
Oh, it looks like he dropped off.
Okay.
No, he's
Um,
there.
Councilor Waldman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, consideration action, approval of resolution 26-50, adopting final budget for FY 26-27. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Knight?
Thank you. On page 31, I'm looking at the gross receipts, total municipal receipts. Is that, our gross receipts for the year, right?
Can you give me just a second to get to the page? Just to make sure. We have several pages with gross receipts on them, so I just need to make sure.
Well, this I think is the total. It's 101 revenue.
Yes, but give me one second, because my page numbers are different than your page numbers. I should have printed this from yours. Okay. So are you looking at the gross receipts that is going to be 101,32410?
101,31250.
So there are 2 gross receipts on here. The first one is going to be 32140. It's going to be like the 6th one down.
Yeah, it's the third one down on mine, but that's okay.
There's
Yeah,
also a
two.
state share below that one.
So I'm looking at the one that I have the question on. is 101,31250.
So that is part of our gross receipts. You have to add the two numbers together. They go into different things because they pay for different things.
Okay.
One is the state, like our share, and then one is the state share that they give us.
Okay, so when I'm asking, it looks like we have a decreased income with our gross receipts. Is that true?
No, ma'am. So in 24, 25, our gross receipts for the that's a typo. No, we're actually up $1 million, $1,600,000, 6,000. Is it 1 million? Melanie, do you remember the letter I had to send to DFA? We're up over $1 million on
Yeah.
our gross receipts. There's a typo in that line.
Yeah, I want to say it was 1.6.
Okay, so.
We're
then-
up 21.7% for.
So
the-
what you're saying, Counselor Knight, is the 25-26 budget request shows basically 4.9 million. And then when you look at final revised, it's
No, that's
4.3.
correct.
It's 4,333,000.
Okay, now I see which one. You're not looking at INTG, sorry. So if you look at 2024, we collected $3,206,000, $155.36. For this year, we collected $3,977,000. So we're up.
Okay, so then the budget says we're gonna collect 1 million more.
The budget says we're gonna, the budget said we projected for 4.3 for this year. When you guys approved budget last year.
Right, and the budget that we're going to approve says 4.9.
Correct. We left it the same as the last 3 years running.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure.
And
we
I'm
don't
sorry
lose
about
money.
the confusion. No, we're actually up over $1 million. We had to write a letter to DFA on our increases and we're up over $1 million in gross receipts.
Okay,
And
so
where does that come
then-
from, Tanya?
What do
The
you-
increase.
The increase, since we don't get anything from them,
Yeah, it's a zero
We don't-
visibility.
there,
we don't-
it's really poor visibility. I mean, I can go
Okay.
through some of our stuff and look for you. I'll be happy to do that. But
Okay.
I have one more question. On the next page, 32, what is state small cities assistance?
State Small Cities Mayor Council Administrator Romero, State Small Cities Assistance is where they look at populations under 10,000. There's a state law on it. That money comes out February or March of the year prior. They look at the amount of gross receipts we made compared to larger cities, and they do a budget calculation on how much we should get. I left that projected at 385. I have seen us, because, and we did go over this year. I have seen us get 1 year $1 million. I have seen us get no dollars. So I did not want to increase that projection to what we got this year. So what that says is Albuquerque Rio Rancho outproduced us on their gross receipts tax, and the state is feeling sorry for us under legislation and gave us that money. We do nothing for that and we do not calculate that.
Okay, so as long as we stay under 10,000 population, we will get something like that?
Unless they change the state law.
Okay, and then so where does that money go? Does
It just
go
goes
to
into our general operating fund.
Okay, alrighty.
But I thought about increasing it to that 6.4 because we're really supposed to try to budget, like I increased property tax because it came in higher and it's not going to drop lower. But that one, because it fluctuates, what if we're doing really good and Albuquerque's not, or Rio Rancho's not? I didn't want to look at increase it to that. So we'll either pull that money out of another fund or we'll do a bar when it comes in with you, if it's more. And if it's less, we'll have to do a bar.
And that just goes into kind of a operating fund?
That is part of our operating that our whole budget for general fund comes out of. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up for me.
Council Mira?
Just real quick, they don't ask how we came up with that extra money. We don't have to give them any idea as to how. I'm looking at kind of like the small school size district is what I would normally compare that to. The small school size, they got bigger money, they got more money than the larger school districts, but because they are small, it's that same kind of situation. We're small, so we can go ahead and accept some more money. We don't have to say where it came from.
Mayor, Council, Administrator Merrill, can I ask a clarifying question? Councilor Mira, are you talking about gross receipts tax or small city?
The small.
Small city is legislatively done. They have a calculation, they have a formula, they say who can get it. DFA calculates it under the law and we get a check. Well, we get a direct deposit.
Okay.
It's, I mean, my understanding, it's a subsidy for economies of scale that we just can't do things on the same scale that a large municipality can. And so they subsidize us so we can still provide the same services, even though we don't have these massive departments to spread those costs out over.
Absolutely perfect. And I don't remember the year that the $1 million came in, but I know we had someone who was new in finance and are like, what is this money? And I'm like, oh, and that's when I researched it because I'm like, I don't know where this money came from.
Counselor Burkett?
Quick question about a small one, but it's a significant increase. Cell phone tower rent. We went like we quadrupled. So, and somehow my signal hasn't gotten any better. So that just means we're charging more. It certainly doesn't seem to me there's more towers.
Mayor, Council Administrator Romero, thank you. No, for years I have sat back and listened to one of the counselors ask if we're getting money from our cell towers, ask why we're not tracking it, because we used to. So what we're doing now is for DFA, it still goes into franchise agreement because that's the line they have. But years ago, Councilor Murray wanted us to know how we were bringing in. So I moved it out. It has not increased. I actually had decreased franchise fee by that amount for the preliminary budget, but then our franchise fee came in, as you see, higher. So I adjusted franchise fee, but it's just to track it so you know that the cell towers are paying for the rent of our spots.
Okay. I mean, it shows year to date though only 5,000 and our budget is 20,000.
Because I didn't move, I did not go back. When I came in March, I brought that forward and started tracking it. We did not go back and move all those old ones.
Okay.
We just started in March. We've already got 1625 in for this year.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other comments? Counselor Murray?
Thank you. So one of the things we did or have done is we established the emergency fund, but we don't have any money allocated.
So Mayor, Council, you guys didn't allocate money for it. Councilor Mira asked us to look at it. We left it on, and then in that meeting, we did not allocate money to that fund. Therefore, I did not put it on the final budget. At any point in time, you guys can bring something up and by resolution, adjust the budget through a budget adjustment request.
Okay.
And if we did that, what might you suggest so that the book stays straight, that we would take it from?
Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero, we could look at, we definitely could not use LGIP for this. It's not a one-time purchase unless
Okay.
you say we're going to purchase an emergency evacuation kit one time. We could look at the budget and see if there's cash carryover. We could look and see if some of the other funds that we thought we were going to use ended up that are council controlled, not being used. There's multiple ways we could look at that. We look and see if revenues are just coming in higher. That would be look at the budget, look at the revenues, and then go from there.
Because of that word emergency, I remember us talking about it. It was exactly that. Can we go backfill an emergency that happens this afternoon while we're here and we needed some money, we don't want to take it out, so we have to take it out for an emergency situation, whether it be fire or, something happened out here on the road. We could still go back and take care of it for the emergency that we provided today, a week from now.
So Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero. So what we do, let's just say there's emergency right now and we have, I'm going to say, I don't know what I want to say. We're going to say tsunami, so I don't jinx us. Say there's a tsunami right now and we need to go and Steve's got his crews moving dirt and we're spending extra because we've got to rent some excavators. Those are going to come out of our general budget to begin with. You absolutely could say, can we transfer all that to track it from a different account? Because we are going to track it because we're going to ask the state and or FEMA to give us money to track it. So when we had our last disaster, we did it. We did create FEMA accounts so we could drop stuff in to track it better. So absolutely, we can move revenue and expenses at any point in time. You could say the heater. You guys budgeted for a heater for the swimming or the heater and air conditioner for the rec center. You could say, well, I don't want that in Lynn's budget. I want to move it to finances budget. We can do that through a budget adjustment with action from the council.
Any other questions for Tanya?
Still have a couple of eggs, gotta find them, that's.
We'll recess for Counselor Murray.
Councilor Knight, I think I have a list for 31 and 32. Page 31 and 32.
Okay.
You got those done? Okay.
Thank you.
See, my page is page 1 because of that was my first page of the budget.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we should all have the same page.
I should have printed it out of the, I didn't realize that you guys label your packets now.
So, no, that's the other thing too. I found that the packet number page was overriding some of the previous page numbers too. So it made it kind of difficult to see where I was at unless
Yeah.
I was looking at the PDF.
We were in
That would be
panic
my-
mode when we put it
That would be
together.
my fault because I labeled them because I needed to be able to track them. So I had labeled them and I did not take the
I mean,
label
it's
off.
just a minor thing. Also, on our packet, we have a date of 4/28/20.
I forgot it was there and didn't update the header. Sorry. These numbers went in.
I mean, is that important? Is that something?
No, no.
Okay.
Your resolution is what does it. And I had a temporary person go in and help me update all the expenses that I didn't get to. And we finished updating, packet was due Friday. I finished updating lines on Friday to get to as close to expenditures as I could. There are still going to be some expenditures that are not captured because we were still paying last year's physical bills until I think Monday. But they're very close to actuals. When you get next year's budget, you will actually see the true, like if we underspent $5 or overspent in a line.
Mr. Mayor, while he's still looking for his one, I can remember, I have a question. On the DWI fund, I noticed that we had some, but how are we utilizing, there was a time when we had a piece of legislation, I know I carried that one. You get the DWI fund, but you have to spend it in a certain way. Do you still have those restrictions on how you spend your DWI fund?
I'll let Chief answer that, but yes.
Councilor, Mayor and Council, so for the state DOT DWI funds, we are not receiving any specific DWI enforcement monies because our saturation patrols and checkpoints were not productive, but we are receiving that money and some more for seatbelt enforcement and the STEP program, selective traffic enforcement program, which is not specific to DUI enforcement. It's all traffic related enforcement, aggressive drive and cell phone violations and so forth.
Okay.
For the Sandoval County DWI task force that we used to participate in, we no longer do because we could not come to an agreement for them to reimburse us for our FICA taxes, which, you know, is 7.65% of the officer's salary. That adds up quickly. Not all police departments pay Social Security and Medicare. Most of the smaller agencies do. Traditionally, the larger agencies have always had a more lucrative retirement, like the one we just went to or are in the process of going to. So they weren't paying Social Security. So since that was not a consideration for these other larger departments, but it was for the smaller departments. Some of the smaller departments like ours fought that issue and we won it with DOT. They were okay with it. We signed a new contract and they agreed that as long as we have it in our policy that we bill our vendors that 7.65% in addition to the salary, then we're covered. We couldn't say it was part of their salary, which is fair. And, you know, we want to do it legal. And, you know, this went through their council and ours. Some of the small departments, you know, fought the same battle and won, but with the county, they just refused to do it that way or any other way. We couldn't reach an accord. Some of the smaller agencies are continuing to participate and taking that 7.65% hit. I can't responsibly do that, you know, as a steward of village funds.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. They must have changed at least those managing rules up there at the time that I'm talking about. But what if you cooperate in the stop? You're just doing that because it's part of what Corrales Police Department should be doing and not getting reimbursed for that stop that they might be having. Like we had when they had the wine festival down in Bernalillo. I mean, there's a lot of stops everywhere. It was taking a whole lot of money, and that's what we were hoping we would be utilizing some of that DWI fund for. But if you're not, and that's okay with you, but they feel comfortable in not giving it to you, but on the other hand, you're not utilizing anything more or extra.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And like I said, we're getting that the same amount of money, actually a little bit more now as the years have progressed for just the other traffic enforcement programs outside of DUI because we weren't getting any. And, you know, every once in a while, an officer on the step over time will, make it the IRS. But as far as, earmarking money and manpower and equipment for checkpoints, they weren't productive. Social media has had a big impact on that for a community like ours. I mean, when that started taking off, and everybody in the metro area would know as soon as that first cone hit the pavement out front here. And then there are, so many side streets to turn off on across, and there's very few places that we could set up. So we weren't productive in that respect, but we came up with other ways to conduct enforcement and be visible.
Thank you,
Yes,
Jim.
thank you, Council.
Councilor Murray.
So on page 59 of 156, it's under the Fund 226, the Police Special Fund. Especially under the Dennis Friends. The column next to the FY27 says 24-25, and we got 14,000 being taken out of it. How can we take that money out of another year that we've already closed out? And where's that money coming from? Because I didn't see it in the
226,
1921.
1921.
Yeah, 1922, Dennis Friends. So in 2025-26, there was 14,916. But if you go over two columns, it says 2024-25.
Typo on that part.
Okay, so
However, this is the bar you just approved.
I know, but it's probably right in the bar.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it is.
here, it looks like it's just under a different year.
Yeah, do not ask me why that was in there as a typo when the rest changed. It was probably one of those fine changes that didn't happen. I may have had the lines hidden when I did that one.
Okay,
That's going to be my guess.
okay. And I think there's one other on that page. I mean, we leave some of these expenditure blocks with zero amounts or no amounts at all, when we're allowed to do that. Like under the state grants, I mean, maybe we didn't get anything for, like it says 25-26 budget request. We have nothing, but then it says final budget revised 14,457.
Oh, this is a really good one. So this is one of the things that I did fix, Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero. This is the retention fund. This is the police department's longevity fund. Is that what they call it? Of course. So before I got over there, we were getting money in, and it got deposited into our account as it should, and they were paying him and any of the officers that qualified, and he has to file a grant and say, these are the people, and these are the years they've been there, and they say, this is what you get. They were paying them out of a supply line, and that is not where we should have paid. So last year they paid him out of the supply line, so we did not show that we paid FICA, so we had to send money back. This year, Chief got that money in. I was sitting there, and I moved it into a special fund, so we spent it down to the penny of his grant the appropriate way.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. Let's see. And yeah, on page 61, that's the Fund 228. We have expenditures, but we don't have total expenditures listed.
Page 61, can you give me a 228?
Yeah, it's Fund 228. It's the Casa San Isidro Fund.
We did not have expenditures last year.
It indicates that we did.
We did. We budgeted for expenditures. We had a contractual service line. We did not do our transfer in or transfer out. We were not billed last year, therefore we did not
So
pay
you
it.
don't put anything in the total
No,
expenditures?
because we did not expend her. We did not pay last year. I think we're renegotiating the contract with Casa San Isidro.
Okay.
Councilor Knight.
Thank you. On my page 40, where it talks about the transportation project fund, we haven't gotten any money in that for a while.
Can you give me the fund number, please?
Is
Is it 306 or 360?
it's 306.
No, the last time we had money for 306 was a year or two ago, and
24-25.
Yeah, that's a DOT grant and we did not get it. Our project did not qualify last year.
Okay. Can I ask what project it was?
I honestly don't remember. We submit 3 projects every year. And I can't remember which one went to what, but I do know for the DOT funds, they are now prioritizing road projects that increase economic development in the area. So if we can't show that what our road pavement project is going to increase economic development on that road, they will not give us the funds for at least 2 of their projects because they have more requests for money than they have money to give. So they're
if-
prioritizing those.
If the road was off Corrales Road, that would be more for economic development.
So
Like
the
it was
only
up in the Sandhills.
the roads, so again, like the MAP fund, the road has to come off of Corrales Road to qualify. So Loma Larga wouldn't qualify for MAP funds.
I know.
But if it's-
He was on there for a while.
Right. And an academy, we did try and show that there's businesses back there, there's schools there. It is impacting our economic development of the area, but they still didn't feel like it was a strong enough project compared to what else came in.
Alrighty, thank you for explaining that. Whenever we can get money, I mean, I'm sure you go after it for grants.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Tanya?
I have kind of a general question, Bill, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanya, is there a way of estimating that as of July 1st, what our projected surplus might be? Raina was able to give us from time to time, revenue versus expenditures and what a surplus might be.
Mayor, Council, Administrator Mero, Councilwoman, I told you to have those numbers today. I don't want anyone to go crazy because part of what we've just done is for the next 3 months, we are paying bills with our cash, if that makes sense. We have to wait for the rest of our money to come in and we're waiting for reimbursements from state for large projects to come in. But our revenues over expenditures, recap sheet may have it. I'm trying to remember. I put it on the recap, but I've got cash numbers for you too. So our revenues over expenditures. So we brought in for 25-26, $10,597,000, $117, and 41 cents. We spent, this is just general fund. This has nothing to do with grants or reimbursables. $8,565,007.68. It did not leave the math on there. So that's revenue over expenses. So fourth quarter, we will be starting first quarter of FY27 budget. Non-allocated cash, meaning cash that is not LGIP and not special fund cash, not fire fund, not dentist friends, not any of that cash, just general fund non-allocated cash is $4,730,429.21. Your LGIP fund is $4,216,790.04 for a total cash, not all expendable the same, minus reserves. Remember, we have to keep the percentage. This is fourth quarter. The reserves will change when I put the budget in. The reserves change through LGBMS. It's their calculation because it's a percentage of what we have to keep. But going in until that budget is complete, fourth quarter with the reserves of 705,000 roughly held that we cannot spend. Our adjusted balance is $9,321,553.69. And then, of course, we have cash and other funds.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. So I think on your page 38, our page 68 of 156, under the Fund 300, their first 2 columns and under the expense, 81,960.09 does not match the up above count of 81,860. Is there $100 difference there?
300-2004, where it's got the year-to-date activity of 776,5564.
Yeah, but over in the first two columns, under expense, under the 48,900, it's 81,960. And yet above it's 81,860. And I just want, is there $100 difference in there somewhere?
So
It looks like.
may I approach?
Sure.
Okay.
So. I'm sure you got that. I see it here.
Thank you. That's what I thought it was. I just didn't want to speak. One was 1 year's budget, one was another year's budget. So those are state grants. That was actually an environmental department grant. So when you budgeted it for that first one, it's going to be one number, and then it was the actuals for this year. So we went in off audit or what was spent. If you look up here on the year-to-date activity, we'll be getting in the full 81. It just hadn't hit by the time I did these numbers. It'll be put in as an accounts receivable. Does that help? Remember, these are budgets. Some of these are budgets.
Okay, I mean, I was looking at revenue versus expenses, and there seems to be $100 difference between, a couple columns there. That's.
Right, but that was from 2025's budget. I corrected it for our budget.
Okay.
So 2025 was off. 2020, this one was off. Our activity is correct. Our revenue, that is what she budgeted, so that's what I had to carry over. The other is actuals.
Okay. All right.
So budget does not always equal your actuals.
Okay.
And we got fully reimbursed for this. This actually was a $275,000 grant over 3 years, and it's closed.
Counselor Knight.
Sure, thank you. So all of this will be turned into the state, but also it will be reviewed by our CPAs too.
This is done. Today was our last day to tomorrow's our last day to turn this in. Our budget goes into the system. The CPA, all they do is,
But don't we meet with them like in November or something?
oh, you mean our
The
auditor?
audit. Yeah.
Oh, so all of this budget will be reviewed next year. What the auditor doesn't look necessarily at this is budget. Auditor looks at actuals. They want to make sure that if I budgeted $100,000 to remodel this room and I spent $150,000 to remodel this room, I either found revenue within the council's line to move down, or I went to you for a bar and I did the bar appropriately. They look at, did you do your accounts payable correctly? Did you do your accounts receivables correctly? Did you pay your bills on time within your 45-day payment? Which is one of the things Administrator Romero is doing, are you auditing when they pay their lodger's tax that it is correct? Are you sending them an email and saying you owe me 5 cents or we owe you 5 cents? That is what our auditor does.
But he
They-
looks at this too, or no?
He looks at the budget. We run what's called a balance sheet. And he looks at the budget this budget that you guys are approving today will probably change no less than 100 times, 200 times over a year, because you approved the council to have a certain amount of money. We're going to say $90,000 because I think it's 87,000. Let's say Counselor Brown didn't come in today right now, and then she wanted health insurance. I'd have to go back to you and ask for a bar to give her health insurance. Or you may say, Counselor Burkett may say, I'm dropping health insurance. We could leave the money there, or we could put it somewhere else. Budget transfers happen in the back end. 206, perfect fund. 206 is the EMS fund. It is a state fund, and it's followed under state laws. We're getting ready to purchase a new rescue under capital outlay. We need a radio. We did not budget capital in that fund, but I have 65,000 in cash. We'll be getting another 75,000 in cash. When we get that other 75,000 in cash, we will come back and say the check has arrived. We need to do a bar. He looks to make sure we spend physically responsible and within the budget you provided. And if we changed the total amount of the budget, it needs to be through grants and bars, or it needs to be, if it's in general fund, by council saying, we want an emergency planning fund, add 100,000 to the budget. Then we have to do a cash transfer. We have to come to you and get a resolution. That's the only way we can change those big items. He looks at the whole picture, the dollar. Like you said, there's a $100 difference or $1 difference. As long as we didn't overspend the budget, we're okay. If we overspent the budget, we need to come to you for a bar to change it, unless it's within the same fund, because I can move within the same fund and department, I should say, and department. I can't move money from the finance department to the public works department without your approval. But I can move money from the finance department's fuel bills to telephone without council approval. But I can't change the bottom line.
Council Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. So on page 66, you may have answered this already. It's page 96 of 156. Under the Fund 410, the GO bond, bottom line under the 2526 says 5.1 million. Should be 510,000.
10:30 p.m. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's not going to be that in LGBMS, and I'll make a note to adjust this before we send budgets out. There is a lot of stuff I'm doing with bonds, just so you know. LGBMS started a whole new bond tracking software. Raina had never seen it, so after she left in October of 24, and I've got permission from DFA. I'm going in and cleaning all that up. They show one of our bonds. We've overpaid it by $1 million, but 3 of them we haven't paid. So I am cleaning all that up. And I'm working with DFA before I throw Juliana to the wolves.
How you do it? Because, I'd be stir crazy at about 10:30 at night looking at all these numbers. So I am stir crazy looking at this budget.
Respectfully, Mayor, Council, and Administrator Romero, if you have not spent more than 4 hours in Village Hall with phone numbers, questions, and wonderful citizens needing help, you will understand that I couldn't do an 8-hour day over there. Chief Martinez telling me to do purchase orders, and 5 o'clock comes, and at 5:30, I'm like, now it's time to do this, because you're up and down, you're up and down. So it's really one of those things that, and I don't believe in closed doors. I'm not one of those people to close a door because I want people to know I'm approachable. And yes, I could say, please walk in, Councilor Miera, and talk to me. But when the door is closed, even if it says come in, it gives that. And I used him as an example because he did come in for a question once.
Are you ready to vote? Councilor Miera, how do you vote?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Waldman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 4, consideration action approval of resolution 26-51, approving fixed assets report. May I have a motion to approve this, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Can we go through each item and
Mayor, Council, Administrator Romero, absolutely.
how many days will you dedicate to this?
Well, depends on if you want to know where it's housed and what. Yeah, no, it was a lot of work.
Amazing.
Any discussion on this item? Are you ready to vote? Yes, Councilor Murray?
Just for information, what's the difference in the green?
Yeah.
The green is the newer additions, and I forgot to make them non-clear and then to make them black, and I decided to leave them that way. There were new additions that I wanted to make sure were captured.
That's the only question.
Okay, Councilor Murray, then how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Motion carries.
Mayor, can
yes.
I rudely have to leave? I have a kid waiting in the lobby to get to a meeting that we had some logistical challenges on. So I apologize that I'm bailing, but I have to bail. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
You can bail.
Yes.
Okay, next item is announcements, future agenda items. Number 1, discussion regarding LIDA ordinance updates by Jill Sweeney. That's August 18th. Number 2, draft noise ordinance coming up sometime. Number 3 is not here, but probably the uniform traffic ordinance and penalties is going to be the next meeting in August. Is that right?
So we're doing a work study
We'll
August
study the 3rd, the 11th,
the 11th. Yes.
and we'll be on the agenda then on the 18th or not. It depends on. the work study.
It probably depends on the work study.
Okay, cool. Okay. Any other additions to future agenda items?
Well, I mean, I mentioned this last time, but I think we need to have a discussion about the lot coverage along with the floor area.
They
ratio.
are, right.
So also, I'd probably like to have a discussion about Perea Road at some point too, because briefly I talked to the administrator, Romero, but I've also talked to a resident. He's a little worried about having roads improved that jump the ICP list. And so I think we just need to have a discussion, make sure that Perea Road is where we think it's at in terms of being the village, where it terminates. Is there private, is that private road even further west or is that public? So I think we just need to make sure that we know where Perea Road is and what's legal and what's not. Because,
Right.
I think he's concerned that we're jumping our processes. I think that's the point. I think what the issue is Chimicha Road has now moved up Tamaha. Okay, sorry. My Spanish is not very good. So, but thank you. But anyway, he's worried that jumped the list because of an emergency. It's been deemed an emergency road to be paved or fixed because the fire department apparently can't get their trucks up on that road. So at least that's what he's told me. So maybe we need to, maybe discuss this a little bit and make sure we got our ducks in a row. Things are being followed. If there's an emergency, and it looks like in our processes, it's only 10 points out of everything else. Maybe it should be more points. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there are other issues like Perea Road, T's on Laurel Lane. I think, and Laurel Lane is private, I think. And, where do you stop that pavement? What happens if you have line of sight issues? Are we going to pave Perea Road up to the T and not consider line of sight? I think there are a lot of issues.
Well, Mayor, I know that for line of sight, we have over, I can't remember exactly what road it is. It was off of Loma Larga. We did require the landowner to change their wall to make it fit the line of sight. So we may have to do the same thing. I don't know. He's also worried about flooding issues, and so forth. But anyway, it may be I want to make sure that Perea Road is legally where we think it is. And, that's just.
Yeah,
I agree with you because it makes it look like if another road jumps ahead of it, that it's, how did that happen? Because he's come here with a list of people who want it paved. He's come and asked us a few times. No one's ever come here from Chamaha, as far as I'm concerned, that when I was here, or had a list of a petition from the people on Chamaha Road. So I think he's feeling like he isn't being heard. And I don't want anyone to feel like that.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, I think it's just a discussion we need to have, make sure that Perea Road is, that the processes we have, if there's an emergency, that it is described and that we have that list and,
Yeah, probably the Public Works ought to be here too before we.
Yes, Steve is still working on that road priorities list. We're in our procedures, we said that they would be evaluated by the Public Works Director and our engineer. And so they're in the process of doing that and getting him, that actual list of the points and everything so that we can show exactly where everything is at.
do we have in our procedures that a road can jump to the top of the list because of emergency, whatever it is?
Mhm.
Is that in the procedures?
It's implied, it's not
Yeah.
dated. So, and that's the thing is that with this, we never had the written procedures before. And I did explain to Mr. Muxworthy, you know, we're not trying to change the processes on you, but it's as we're, you know, we've written something out and then we realize, oh yeah, this was left out because this is something that we've done in the past. But because we didn't have the written procedures, it's a little bit, and I totally agree with Counselor Knight's statement that he does feel like he's not being heard. Steve and I will be meeting with him next week when Steve is back in town from his vacation as well.
Both of you about that. It's not as much as they weren't heard as much as the fact is they stood here, they said we put it on the,
Mhm.
they don't know, we say we
Right.
put it on the budget.
Yeah.
And it's there, it's on the budget, but they don't understand that the budget moves. And
Right. Well, and the ICIP list is different than our road priorities list.
It's pretty good.
Right.
Me being aware of it like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, and it's been on, this is its second year on the list and it did move up. But the ICIP list is a different list from the road priorities. That's just for, those are the roads that we're looking at getting grant monies for, because we could get grant monies for that. I'm not sure we could get grant money for Perea Road. We might be able to get some capital outlay, but we're not going to get as much as we need. They never fund a full project like that with capital outlay. Nope. It does not qualify.
To Corrales Road.
Nope. It has to connect through to something else. So because it connects to a private road, it does not qualify.
Why don't you have your discussion with Tyler
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah, and we'll give you
Well,
I'll give you an update after our discussion with him. But yes, I agree. We need to, you know, definitely clarify some things.
To sit in on that.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah, Ken?
Mr. Mayor, Counselor, there has been a lot going on in the background that Mr. Muxworthy may or may not have conveyed. There was a lawsuit several years back involving the village and Mr. V. Hill, who lives north on Laura Lane. That was settled by a settlement agreement. Mr. Muxworthy has said in council meetings that the village lied during the course of that litigation, so that somehow that settlement agreement doesn't mean anything as a result. I've worked with Mr. Muxworthy's attorney, who has sent a couple letters threatening to file a complaint with NMED under the fugitive dust regulations, and with Lori Stout. The village did not own the Perea Road right of way, so we couldn't have gone in there to pave, to water the road, to keep the dust down until about a year and a half ago. And Lori worked with a couple of the abutting landowners to get them to dedicate strips of their property so that we have a regulation size right of way, at least up to Laura Lane. I believe Perea Road west of Laura Lane is private. So I think Mr. Muxworthy lives at the far end of that.
Yeah.
So we can't be paving his private road. As far as Laura Lane goes, again, there's just a lot that's been done that you may or may not be aware of that I'd like to apprise you of before promising things to citizens.
Well, so with Laurel Lane being private, then it's up to the property owners who live on Laurel Lane to maintain that road. And if they don't and flood, if he gets flooded, then he has recourse then to go after them, not after the village. Is that correct?
Yes, but I don't believe Laura Lane is private.
Okay. That's what I need to, that's what I want to make sure is
Yeah.
where to Perea Lane, road goes, and that's ours. And then the rest is private. And we know that, and that way we've got, legal standing somewhere.
Right, but I just like you to be aware of some of what's been going on
Okay.
at the staff level. And I think might be useful to talk with, I'd like to talk to you with Lori Stout as well, and what we've been doing to get that resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Well, before we adjourn this meeting, I'd like to, all of us, to show our appreciation for Tanya Latin, for all the work she's been doing on the budget, and thank you very much, Tanya. Lacking any more business items, we have completed the agenda and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
We need you to sign all the resolutions.